So shooting, and I think sports like archery, shooting, chess, I think Indians are naturally very, very good at it. Because again, there is more mental strength that we need in these kind of sports. And I think Indians are very sharp mentally.
Last few minutes on this particular panel before there are a couple of felicitations, and I want we to celebrate this entire audience, to celebrate you. But you 20 plus and already a world champion. Gukesh at 18 or 19, and by the way, I think Gukesh will be here any moment. I mean, his flight was supposed to land around.
Push, and I think we should be there, and we should be in double digits at least for to be able to bid for the Olympics, because we just don't want to cheer for other athletes. We want to cheer for our athletes. We want to see our athletes win. In the home country, when we see the Olympics, when we host the Olympics, we want our athletes with the flag on the podium, with the national anthem going on. So I think that is what, that is the kind of Olympic Games I want to see in India. And be it 2036, Umeed pe duniya kayam hai.
Are we ready for that? That national anthem, because we did not get a national anthem, at least in the able-bodied, in Paris. Are we ready, you reckon? I mean, the depth of our thing, in the next 4 years, can we actually aspire for a double-digit medal haul?
I think we can, but again, it's not only, I can't just be like, okay, just words and words, but again, lots and lots of hard work goes behind the scenes, and we will have to push more, we will have to give to the sports more in order to achieve that. And it's, so I can't promise anything, I can't say on that, because I know that we need to put in a lot of hard work, lot of money, as well as like different kinds of investments we need to do in sports in order to achieve that. Because if we talk about countries, the countries that are leading on the medal tally, America or China or other countries, like they are investing so much in sports, not just financially, not just money-wise, but in so many other things as well. Maybe the infrastructure, maybe the faculties, maybe the coaches, maybe the athletes themselves, their mental health, their career.
Bhaker, now that I have to come, oh yes, Boria as a friend, I've got to come, do this event and go back to Delhi, or do they really have meaning in India?
You know, when you were in the introductory speech, I was so all geared up to fight, because I was so, you know, it was so motivating for you to talk like that. You were like, so is this event just gonna end here? I mean, like you were just so energetic, man. I was just all ready to fight somebody just right now. But no, I don't think that such events are just to attend on like singular day basis. But events like these stay, they put a mark. They put a mark on different people, us athletes and different people from different segments of the lives. So, as you said, this is the third edition. This is the third edition, and I was a part for the first one. I missed the second one. But I think we as athletes also get to know each other better, get to meet and conversate with each other, and get to know the stories of different athletes in platforms like these. And I think platforms like these, like Trailblazers, is very, very, very important, because as you mentioned, we discuss sports, we discuss about everything, like how cricket is almost, everyone knows all the cricketers, everything that goes in cricket or about cricket, whatever, maybe World Cup, maybe any other event. But when it comes to other sports, and for that matter, para sports, which they performed brilliantly, but again, we need such events to recognize, to celebrate us as athletes, and for many more to follow. And I'm already looking forward to Trailblazers 4.0.
She's made it there. She's made my evening there by saying that. But in all honesty, it's time to celebrate. But just to round it off, ladies and gentlemen, just to round it off, when Manu came in 2023, and I remember speaking to her from Birmingham in 22 ahead of the Commonwealth Games, again, I don't know how many interviews I've done of Manu Bhaker, but she's someone I've seen grow, evolve, become a star. And I don't think the journey has yet begun in that sense. Yes, Paris was the crescendo for some with 2 medals and all of that, but But as I keep saying, the world is her oyster. She's one of the best we have, one of the best we've seen, one of the best we've produced, and of course, a role model to many who will inspire millions to pick up not just shooting, but many other sport, and that's the India that will host perhaps the 2036 Olympic Games. Manu Bhaker, as a symbol of women's empowerment, to our first round of felicitations. This panel has been supported by my dear friend Nilanjana Bose from Ladies Study Group. Is she there? Is Nilanjana there? Are you there? Yes, Nilanjana and Richa. Pardon me? Both of you, come up and Manu Bhaker, as a symbol of women's empowerment, it was natural that I would invite the Ladies Study Group to come and felicitate them on stage and support this particular session. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only double Olympic medalist and one of my favorite athletes, Manu Bhaker. Please. Let's take the photograph. No, you go for it. I will. To me now. I will. Up, Karuna. Just.
Oh, happy birthday to him. Okay, on 8th. That's Women's Day. So I wanted to say one more thing since we are approaching the Women's Day week. I was just checking on Google that how many female athletes do we have in top 100 highest paid sports person. Guess how many? Guess how many women do we have in top 100 highest paid athletes? Exactly, there are 0 women athletes in top 100 of the world. So this Women's Day, I think we can do whatever we can, like small steps. We can start with the small steps and we can try and change that. Maybe at least we can aim for like 5 women. I know it's a worldwide stage and of course how much of a change can we make, but at least we can start somewhere. So this Women's Day, let's change something about that. And second thing is, I wish I could speak like how you speak, how you talk. Earlier I was sitting there, I was thinking there must be some screen. You must be looking at somewhere, like some script, and saying that, but brilliant, you speak brilliantly.
And I wish I could even pick up the gun without my hand shaking when you shoot at the Olympic range. So don't take my job away. You're already good at what you do. But Nilanjana and thank you very much. Thank you very much, the Ladies Study Group, for supporting this. Manu, 2 more. You know, I was thinking what to give her, and this is not about just giving her random something. I know she endorses many brands. I know she's one of the most coveted athletes. By the way, she said how many women in the top 100? Let me give you one stat. 107 medals, ladies and gentlemen, is what India won at the Asian Games. Asian Para Games, 111. 107 medals at the Asian Games. Adil Sumariwala's athletics contingent contributed 29. But out of the 107, 54 women, 53 men. That's the number. On that note, it is my great pleasure to call upon from my colleagues at Titan, Shri Rahul Shukla, Vice President and Chief Sales and Marketing Officer, Titan Watches and Wearables, because we planned this for about a couple of months. That's something that will have a personal touch. And we created a timepiece that we wanted to present Manu Bhaker, where the watch hand is actually the target. And it will remind Manu of her escapades at Paris 24 and will take her to LA. So Rahul, over to you for that particular presentation to Manu Bhaker. So this is a one piece that Titan Watches have created for Manu Bhaker for this particular conclave. Her name is engraved and at the back it is written Trailblazers limited edition watch, one piece created for the Trailblazers conclave. Thank you very much, Rahul. And now the final one. May I please invite two people on stage for this, rather three. 2024 Rev Sports Athlete of the Year female, ladies and gentlemen, may I have on stage Shri Chanakya Chaudhary, Pulela Gopichand and Adil Sumariwala to present Manu Bhaker with the Rev Sports Athlete of the Year female 2024. And I would want you to stand up and give her a standing ovation for doing what she's done at Paris Games. Shormishta, please, can I have you on stage for this? Go. Stand with Chanakya. I'll go the other side. Yeah. So what we'll do, Chanakya, what we'll do, Manu, is we'll do that side, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Because I'm part of them, so I need that photo good. Otherwise, they'll not cover me tomorrow. You will give me only. That's the only thing. Thank you very much. And I know she has to go. I know it's a hurried trip, but you've already promised me Trailblazers 4.0. And we'll hold you to that, Manu Bhaker. Many more accolades, many more medals, many more failures, because they'll get you many more successes. But be who you are. The one that I knew at the age of 14, who hasn't changed for the last 8 years. Keep doing what you do. Make us proud. Ladies and gentlemen, the first session of the Trailblazers Conclave, Manu Bhaker. Put your hands together for her. Thank you very much. One photograph. Come. You hold it. Yes, all the best. All the best. They will take you. Yeah, I know you're going to be. Yeah. Ogni, back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, another huge round of applause for Manu Bhaker, please. What a fantastic session that was. A session to remember for a long, long time. And clearly, quote unquote, she has her sights on her target, as we say. One very important thing that Manu Bhaker spoke about is the support. Is the support for Indian sports. And I say this not only for cricket, but for a diversity of Indian sports. The support is very important. The backing is very important. And not only the financial backing or the financial support, the investment that you make in Indian sports, that you make in Indian athletes, that is indeed going to be path-breaking, that is going to be legendary, that is going to be visionary. And corporate India has a huge, huge role to play in offering this support to the budding athletes, to many more athletes like Manu Bhaker, to many more athletes like D. Gukesh, to another Abhinav Bindra, to another Saurav Ganguly. Corporate India does have a huge role. So moving on to the next session of the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave 3.0. This session is called Corporate India and Sport Towards Making India a Sporting Power with an Eye on 2036. Are we ready for 2036? Are we ready financially? Are we ready logistically? Are we ready with the investments and the long-term goals, not only short-sighted goals? For the session, I would like to call the esteemed speakers on stage. Sanjeev Navangul, MD and CEO, Bharat Serum and Vaccines Limited, BSV. Can we have the applause going as the speakers take the stage? Thank you so much. Jaswinder Sodhi, Head of Marketing, Digital and Customer Propositions, International Wealth and Premier Banking, HSBC India. Can we have Mr. Sodhi on stage, please? Thank you so much, sir, for gracing the occasion. Anil Singh, Managing Director, Procam International. He has been a friend of Rev Sports for long. Can we have Mr. Anil Singh on stage, please? And Professor Vijay Pereira, Director, KH Business School, Vijay Bhumi University. Can we have a huge round of applause for all our speakers? And of course, not to forget, his contribution to Indian sports and to Trailblazers Conclave since its inception, Adil Sumariwala, Vice President, World Athletics. May I have you on stage, please, sir, for this session. A huge round of applause for Mr. Adil Sumariwala. And to moderate this session, may I invite Shormishta Guptu, co-founder Rev Sports, on stage, please. Shormishta is already ready. She's beaming with anticipation. She's ready with her homework. And so are we. Are we ready for 2036 financially, logistically? Corporate India and sport, a very important session with all the corporate giants of India currently towards making India a sporting power with an eye on 2036. Shormishtadi, as the speakers take their seats, over to you for the session and all the best.
All right, so corporate India and sport. And here with me, I have a very, very distinguished panel of corporate leaders, and a very senior administrator, and who are path breakers and trailblazers in their own right. We have a very senior academic and analyst. So this is a very, very distinguished panel, and all of them have, in their own different ways, connected the grids of the corporate world and sports. So today we are going to talk on this panel about, what their experience of this has been and how we look forward to 2036. Can India actually think of bidding for an Olympics to be hosted in India in 2036? So let me start with Adil. Adil, you have very definitive views on corporate social responsibility and investment in sport. Would you like to outline your views for our audience?
The way I'm going to say is, I'm not splitting the two, the corporate social responsibility and the investment in sport. I'm going to keep it as one. So, as I have said before, time and again, I think corporate India has failed sport. When I say sport, I don't mean cricket. What I mean is sport as a whole. What is the amount of money that corporate India, except for Tata's and a few others, what is the sort of money that they are investing in sport? Secondly, whatever little a lot of them are investing is with the top athletes. Everybody wants a picture with a Manu Bhaker. Everybody wants to sponsor a Neeraj Chopra. They don't need the money. They've made enough money. How many people are doing anything at grassroots? And I'm going to give you figures which I've given before from this stage. The total budget, sports budget this year, 2,505 crores. That's the sports budget. If you take corporate social responsibility money, 2% of the top 10, only top 10. I don't want 2%. You give me 0.5%. That works out to 4,000 crores. If they put only 0.5%, the top 10, it is 4,000 crores. So, everybody wants government to do everything. I think government needs to put up infrastructure across into districts, at district level, state level, etc. Creating teams for India, they're putting in enough money. The government is putting in money, and literally, I'm saying that putting in money to the point of spoiling our athletes. Athletes are sitting on your head, demanding all sorts of ridiculous things, and which we are giving. So, Gopi is smiling. I know why he's smiling. We've had this conversation in meetings. But I think how many corporates are doing anything at grassroots? They're saying they're doing things. Now again, if they're going to work in a silo, it's not going to work. whatever money, even some of the corporates that are putting in want to do it by themselves. You can't do it by yourself. It has to be a team effort. We will produce. No, you can't produce. Because there is a federation, there are coaches, there are athletes. They all have to work together. There's the Sports Authority of India. There is a federation. There is an Indian Olympic Association. There are international federations. So, as I said, my view is corporate India has failed sport.
All right, very instructive words. Adil Sumariwala, very distinguished administrator who has seen, you know, every end of the spectrum in his life as an administrator. But I have somebody here seated at that end who has actually been a supporter of the Athletics Federation of India. So, Jaswinder, what would you like to add to what Adil has said? Adil has expressed disappointment with the level of, you know, at the present level of existing, you know, corporate investment. He expects there to be more. But you have been a supporter of the Olympics. I mean, I saw that, you know, those wonderful visuals of the send-off that you gave to the Olympic athletes. So tell us, you know, what would your response be to him?
No, I think partly Adil is right, because that's the behavior we are seeing overall. If we look at the overall investments which flow into corporate, into sports, and especially at the grassroots level, because that's where you know, the intent is very clear. You are here to support the sport growing. You are here to support the infrastructure building. You are here to support people to come up the curve, right? Not when they become famous, because that's when you're coming to brand yourself with them. I think that's a difference. That's a difference of intent. That's a difference of how you want to support, right? So I think it makes a big difference if you commit yourself for building that infrastructure. I think one area where India has consistently failed is in not having adequate facilities, world-class infrastructure, you know, and that's where I think if we give more such opportunities and world-class infrastructure to our athletes, I think they will do phenomenally well. HSBC has been a consistent supporter for sports, not only in India but across the world, at grassroots level as well. And you know, whichever sports we choose to support, I think we go and invest in the ecosystem to grow the sport rather than support an individual. So I think that's been the philosophy. We need to be honest about where we want to put money, how we want to support. I think if we have our intents clear, that will make a whole lot of difference.
Thank you, Jaswinder. I'll ask Vijay. Vijay Pereira is, you know, a senior academic and administrator. He's written, spoken on sport and business. Vijay, you were in, well, very close to Paris, based in France during the years leading up to the Olympic Games, and then, of course, during the Paris Olympics. And you have seen it all, you know, how the corporate world in France came together during the Olympics. Tell us a little bit about that, and then perhaps you could elaborate what you feel of that is missing in India. For instance, the whole Paris Olympics motto of inclusivity, gender parity, you know, reaching out to, you know, other groups who are not, you know, part of the mainstream. Tell us about that corporate engagement.
Yeah, thanks, Arunshita. Well, just being a little bit academic here, we take a step back and look at historically what are the countries that have done well in sport. And there is a strong correlation to its economy, which means business. You know, look at Europe where it all started, whether it's Greece or the Romans, and then of course we look modern day America, and then we have the Asian examples of Japan and Korea. And it's come of age, China and India. I'm not a big fan to compare the two countries, but really a 2016 study showed that for every 315 billion US dollars that add to the GDP, it equates to one gold medal, okay? Which means that if India are going for a 5 trillion economy in the near future, what and how much, which I strongly support Adil here, are the corporates doing for that? Because they're going to get, everyone is going on money. How much of that is then going to get invested? And so coming back to your question, is that the developed countries, and taking France as an example, have already done it. Yeah, they are at the stage where they give back to sport and they take sport seriously. The investment of France versus India in terms of sport is huge. And that's why you will see the medals that are going to be making the difference. Because we're talking about how a human being gets developed to play sport from one generation to the next. So it's not an overnight aspect where suddenly you have athletes which we celebrate here. It takes time. It takes a whole generation and the next to develop there. So, we're going back to saying India 2036, 5 trillion, 6 trillion, 20 trillion economy. How much of that is being pumped into sport or health? I link health. And I link another thing which I'm in, education. Education, health, sport, better society, greater medals. And again, a stronger, healthier society goes back and pumps in greater money into the economy. So it's a circle, a positive circle. And so the richer the country, the more developed the country, the more investment, and it's India's time now.
It is India's time now, and I see my panelists are all giving me very wonderful cues to the questions I originally meant to ask. So I'm going to pick up on Vijay's point about sport, health, education, and I'm going to come to Sanjeev here. Sanjeev, we have done panels together, we have done conclaves together. You are somebody who has been in the corporate world and at the forefront of promoting women's health, whether it's to talk openly about periods, period pain, menstruation, lactation. You are someone who has, through your initiatives, supported that. Now, tell me, Sanjeev, we have done conclaves together. We have put, we have spoken to athletes, we have spoken to doctors. When you bring an athlete, say like an Anju Bobby George, and we have, done something with Anju before, and Anju will be here at the conclave. When you take an athlete like an Anju Bobby George or a Mary Kom or anyone who speaks about, childbirth, or who speaks about, menopause or something like that, what does it bring to the corporate grid?
Good evening, everyone. Adil, though, has criticized corporate world, has passed me the mic, so thank you. But I can tell you one thing, corporate world, you accuse of failing sports, but I can tell you corporate world is full of failed sportsmen and sportswomen, for sure. Failed sportsmen and sportswomen, for sure. Corporate world is full of them. So each one of them wanted to be some celebrity and then ended up in corporate world. So coming back to the question, I think, look, we are probably India's and Asia's leading women's health company. And when we say that, we should not be just saying that we produce medicines or treatments for solving problems for women's health. We have to take responsibility for women's health in this country. Especially in a country, and I'll give you some stat and then that can reflect on everything, is that every 1 out of 2 men get treated in this country and go to the doctor or go to some health facility. Every 1 out of 5 women, every 1 out of 5 women are able to do that. So 20% treatment rate in women and 50% treatment rate in men. So let's start there. So when we say and take pride, and really we should take pride as a premier women's health company in the world, our responsibility towards women's health has to be complete. We cannot say that we will only support this or support that. So therefore, when you ask that question, it was important for us to ensure that we support all parts of women's health. Yeah. Incidentally, that we, I think, end up having a very, very targeted treatments from menarche to menopause. That's where I think we have maximum amount of so we therefore started focusing on it and realized the amount of pain women athletes have. Whether it is the mental agony of going through a lot of things from starting from menstruation point when they are early athletes. Then we started looking at women athletes who are starting to grow up and start to do well. Then they have other challenges. There are home pressures. We saw them, obviously, you know, when they have child, they're very difficult to come back. Forget coming back to sport. Very difficult for them to come back to corporate. Imagine that they are unable to come back to the corporate world. So coming back to sport must be even more difficult. So we decided to focus on some of these things, talk about it openly, involve athletes, ensure that they speak to other athletes, ensure they speak to the general audience, and ensure that this process is taken care by helping everyone. And that's probably one of the biggest areas we will continue to work on, that how do you get women in sports more support, because their challenges sometimes are slightly higher than the men sportsmen. Now, we don't want to bring in the gender bias here, but somebody has to obviously focus on a gender that needs more help, at least at this stage in the country. And therefore, our ability to support them as much as we can is important. And demonstrate in many different ways. Like you mentioned about lactation, childbirth. We also, you know, I remember talking to Abhinav Bindra and telling him that, Abhinav, look, you want support for your foundation. I'm not ready to give just support like that. Create a program which will support women athletes from teenage, only teenagers. So that means early stage, as Adil you mentioned. So they get support at an early stage. So then he designed a program, sports for her, and then we said, okay, as much money you need, I'm ready to support you. But only if you take those early stage athletes. And it should be only women. So demonstrate it by creating programs which will help them. I spoke to Viren also about what to do in UGQ with what support we can give him. Unfortunately for me, Viren's class teacher is my wife, so she scolded me in supporting Viren. But the important thing was to tell Viren that, look, if you want our support, then we will certainly want athletes at a particular age group, women athletes to support. We want to promote healthy people, ultimately, healthy women, healthy people. Healthy nation is a wealthy nation. A wealthy nation need not be a healthy nation, and we see the obesity in US and understand that much better. So once you create a healthy nation, you will create better sportsmen. I think let's focus on that, and especially on women's sports is an area where we want to focus on.
Please, please.
I think this is one area we've really neglected, women in sports. And I must say that HSBC has supported our women.
Yeah.
So we need more people to do this. At World Athletics, where I'm an executive board member, we have gender equal parity. So in the commission, in the council, in everything is 50-50. Prize money is same for men and women. So I think it's time that we, of course, there are cultural issues, etc., in India. We have to come around it or over it, but I think we have to move in that direction.
Excellent, very instructive words. We have to do more for women, more affirmative action for women. But again, I'm going to take from something which Sanjeev said, healthy nation, we will make healthier nation, we will make more sports people. And from here, of course, who else can I come to but the marathon guru of India. Can we call you that? Yes, the marathon guru of India. Okay. But, you know, when I was growing up, we would see marathons on TV and think this was something undoable. You know, this was supposed to be a high athletic feat, you know, a feat of high energy and something which was not possible for normal people to do. And today, every other person I know is running a marathon. And I think you are the person who has, you know, had that pioneering insight and who has translated that into action. Tell us all about it.
Well, thank you so much. But good evening, Calcutta. And it's such a pleasure, and my congratulations to my dear friend Boria, I was here last year and I can see it's growing bigger and better. It's so good to see Gopi, Chanakya, my dear friend, sir, who actually sponsors the #1 25K in the world, the Tata Steel Kolkata 25K, which has completely redefined this city. I still remember the first year when we were doing it with Tata Steel, and the registration side was calling people to get involved, communities and city, and when they said there's a kind of 800 rupees to enter, they thought we were going to give them 800 rupees to come. And from there, it's turned around so much that today, the last edition, which was in December, today, the #1 25K on planet Earth, out of close to about 400,000 distant races, is the Tata Steel Kolkata 25K. So thank you, Chanakya, for absolutely, Narendran and Chanakya, the two power, who completely sort of moved this. So thank you. But look, and there's been a lot of little corporate bashing also. I think I'll just touch on that before I move on to something else. There are too many factors that you have to also understand when it comes to a corporate side. It's who are you trusting with your money? How is that money being used? Everybody doesn't have a Gopi. Okay? You don't have that. Yeah, so Gopi, but he gets enough and he produces from it. He produces. So the thing is, I think there's a lot more. I think it's changing so rapidly because we can't arrive at these new sort of levels. Like he said, we won 107 Asian Game medals the last time around. So you can't do that without support. So it's happening. And I think it's changing. And I think it's also about media. It's also about so many factors. The times are changing, and I think you will see a very bright new India. And if the Olympics does come here, and we can actually afford not to make that a debacle, then I think you will see a huge transformation. But having said that, I think, it's not only about Tatas, and there is money for every sport. I cannot agree that there is money, only this sport gets money or that one. Can I tell you something, ladies and gentlemen? 1,000 crores is being spent on running today. 1,000 crores. It's the second most highest sponsorship thing after cricket. That's how powerful it can be. And who ran 20 years ago? Nobody. So it's all possible. It's how you make it happen. Today, 5 of the world's #1 events in the world, the #1 10K, TCS, Tata Consulting Services, Bengaluru 10K, the #1 10K in the world. Vedanta Delhi Half Marathon, the #1 half marathon on planet Earth. The Tata Steel Kolkata 25K, the soon-to-be launched the World 15K, and the Tata Mumbai Marathon, which is actually the #2 marathon in the bucket list around the world. But we didn't want to be we are 5th in the world. That's 6th in the world. However you want to place, it's only a number. But at the end of the day, everything is possible. And if you're talking about women, I remember the first time when we started off in terms of women participation in Delhi, when we had that figure, we had 3% participation of women. In the 2024 edition, we had 43% participation of people there. And you have to qualify for it. You just can't enter. So it's a lot changing. And I think you're right, health is wealth. But you can see that today, can you imagine there are 800 run clubs. Running and participative sport has become a $450 million industry. So things are changing, things are happening. And when you do things like this, and we can talk openly and frankly, I think there's a lot more going to take place.
Thank you, Anil. I'll ask Jaswinder. Jaswinder, we know that you are invested in female athletes. You have a partnership with the Athletics Federation. But as Adil pointed out, do you see much conversation happening between your peers, or is it like I work in a silo, I have a commitment, but then how will we have a movement if people are just working on their own? Do you have any comments to offer on that?
I think as an industry, there is very less conversation amongst ourselves in terms of how we want to approach this. But I think if we look at the approach, as Anil said, things are changing, right? We give a very good example of cricket becoming mainstream, but cricket was not even mainstream if we look at 25, 30 years back, right? So money, sponsorship, popularity, everything goes hand in hand. Today, if we are a superpower in the world, it's because we have balanced a lot of things together. I think we need to bring that feature of getting sports to be the mainstream. How many of our young kids are taking sports as career, right? Very few. Manu spoke about job security, which is the principal thing. I mean, dad and mom constantly tell, "Jada mat khelo, padhai pe dhyan do." Right? So I think clearly we have to, that's where I think the second responsibility from the corporate side is how we can get sports to become mainstream. How running has become mainstream today, right? Everybody runs, right? So we are attempting our bits. I think we have picked up few sports. Athletics is one specifically for female athletes. Badminton World Federation, I just wanted to bring, we support badminton worldwide, and for last 10 years we have been supporters for BWF World Super Series. Every year we are seeing the participation level, the crowds filling the the stadiums increasing multiple times, and you see more and more youth coming there. Young kids who want to emulate a PV Sindhu or the athletes who have brought glory. So you can see you need little bit of superheroes whom people can follow, but I think every sports needs that, right? So I think India is changing. We need more superheroes. We need, and that's where I think it's like a machine which we need to kickstart. Once it comes there, I think then it becomes on autopilot and mainstream. But I think to reach there, both government, corporates, everybody need to work hand in hand. More conversations like this conclave can really help to address the real issues rather than talking good things about it. Thank you.
I completely agree with you, Jaswinder. Things are changing fast. When I was growing up in the 80s, yes, maybe a boy could think about becoming a cricketer, but which girl could had a Manu Bhaker or a Vinesh Phogat or a, anybody or, somebody to emulate. So I think, things are changing, and as you said, we need superheroes, and for that we need corporate support, because, it's a long journey to create a superhero, and that's, yes, Anil.
Can I just say a word? Yes. We say this, that there is, today when we kicked off with running in 2004, and to me it was because when I was in London watching the London Marathon, what blew me away was, life is about stories, and everybody on the starting line of a marathon has a story which is so compelling. Where can you get this, where you've got a complete conveyor belt of stories? But I just wanted to say one thing. About 20 years ago, Procam put in 30 crores into rugby. Rugby. We were 176 in the world. Today, I think we're about 70th in the world. How did we find 30 crores? You have to find, what I'm trying to establish here, we have to find ways how you can also give back to a brand. We want support from a brand. You want them to invest. They have things that they need, the spends need to create value. So for me, if you can give 30 crores, if you can find 30 crores in rugby starting 20 years ago, right? And it worked, and we climbed 100 spots in the world ranking. It's how can you find touch points to be able to give the brand what it needs and also invest in the sport and get others involved. In the first year in 2004, when I went to Standard Chartered Bank for the sponsorship, I was asking for 4.5 crores. And they thought I was smoking something up. And they said, but nobody runs, you want... And I said, it's not about that. So it's how you marry the two, that you can create value for a brand and create value for society. And today, one more thing. It's not only that, it's how much can you give back to society. Do you know the single largest platform for philanthropy in Asia, sporting philanthropy, is Procam. It has raised 600 crores for charity. 600 crores. Some claps, please. Come on, guys, 600 crores. Not a joke. So, at the end of the day, everything is possible. It's how you do it.
Everything is possible, very positive words, and I will take now closing comments from Vijay Pereira and Sanjeev. Vijay, Anil talked very rightly about creating value, you know. Do you see, you know, sport being able to create that value for corporate India to rally behind it going up to 2036?
Yeah, I go back to the CSR argument that Adil started. It's all about money. You know, at the end of the day, it's a cycle. You see value in sport, you sponsor it, money comes back to you, and it's that cycle that needs to be, as Anil very rightly says, kick-started. You know, that has yet to be done. We have certain pockets, but it needs to be overall in, you know, athletics. You know, we have Gopi doing badminton. We have the big 5 leagues in India happening, you know. Kabaddi, football, cricket, of course, and so on and so forth. So I think the process has started. The third sports conclave has done a lot. People are reading, they're talking. Yeah, we have dignitaries here from HSBC to Tatas and so on. We have administrators here. We have, you know, people like Anil who is passionate about sport. So it's happening. We need to go to the next level, and I think that's happening.
So Anil, there's a little difference when you talk about teams and when you talk individual sport. There is a difference. Okay, I'll give you some facts and figures. The National Sports Development Fund, the government created a fund and said, corporates put in your CSR money, and the government will match it. And that money goes into the top scheme to train top athletes. You know how much money came in last year? Less than 100 crores. Less than 100 crores. Whereas the 0.5% of the top 10 companies CSR budget is 4,000 crores. So what I'm trying to say is there are individual companies which are doing, but I'm saying when I say corporate has failed, look at the whole scale of things. And in that, if one company or two companies, the other issue that is there is companies want to sponsor individual athletes. You are not going to produce champions. You have to get into the system. Unless you get into the system and create a robust system and a robust ecosystem, you're not going to win. Because here you're banking on one athlete, that athlete may get injured, something might happen. But if you're within the system, that is very important. So understand what I'm saying. Everything is possible, but somebody has to put money on the table. Somebody put money on the table for a Standard Chartered for the marathon. It became a movement. Corporates have to have guts to put big money. At 4 crores was big money in those days. Again, to say that, listen, who are you giving the money to is a very different story. I mean, you're saying Gopi, how much? Gopi needs 10 times the funding that he has today. Are people giving him? No. Are we all depending on the government? Yes. We have to stop depending on the government for funding. USA, there is no government funding for training. It's completely privately funded. UK has no government money. There's no government money in the UK. Do you know UK spent 2 billion pounds.
Look at their universities. I mean,
2 billion pounds out of lottery money before the Olympic Games to create the ecosystem. 2 billion pounds, not million, billion. You can Google it, you'll find it. UK spent 2,500 crores for each gold medal. Neeraj's gold medal cost us 17 crores. So let us understand where we are coming from. Let us look at facts and figures. It's great to feel great and give all this talk, but without, and just money is not important. If you don't create an ecosystem, you don't have the coaches, you don't have the physios, you don't have the masseurs, you don't have a support system, you can't produce champions. So if you're looking at what Boria talked about, medals, double digit, next Olympics, you need to work on the ecosystem, and for that you need money.
Sports ecosystem, very important. And again, you know, these are topics which one panel is very less to talk about. So I will give Sanjeev the last comments to close this panel.
I just want to make one small point, Adil, and I think very important that corporates put money on the table. At least I don't feel guilty about speaking because I do. So, but important point is, Adil, I think corporates need to be more involved in sports, besides money. I can give you an example, and I hope that athletes, associations do involve us separately or differently also. For example, I don't think there are any counselors in sport which are even 10% capability of corporate leaders. Corporate leaders are the best counselors that any sports people can find. Unfortunately, if you ask me personally, the people who have reached out to me for counseling are cricketers, not any Olympian or Olympic sport people. So that also is a shame that, you know, we are not getting used enough in terms of where we can help more. That was the only point I wanted to make.
Thank you. So we have a debate, we have discussion, and we have a very, very, very distinguished panel here. So glad to have moderated this panel, and we must end here because we are running out of time.
And one, two, yes. Check. Yes. Thank you so much. May I call on stage Yashpal, please, for the felicitation of the distinguished panel. Yashpal, owner of Masala Theory and a friend of Rep Sports for a long time. He took great care of us, looked after us in Sydney. A huge round of applause for Yashpal and Masala Theory, please, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished panel, looking forward to 2036, making India a sporting superpower thanks to the backing of the corporates. Yes, please go ahead with the felicitation, Yashpal. The applause should keep coming. Extremely, extremely important insights throughout the whole session. Monies are being spent, corporates are invested, they're interested, and the lone goal is to make India the sporting superpower for the bid of 2036, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to all the distinguished panelists. It's been an extremely, extremely insightful, intriguing, and engaging session. And Shormishtadi, thank you for being a lovely, lovely moderator and a great host. Thank you so much. Requesting everyone to please come a bit at the front for the photo op for the session. Requesting the photographers to be ready with the cameras, please. Once you are done with the felicitation. Requesting everybody to move up at the front, please, for the photo op. And while the photos are clicked, ladies and gentlemen, time to announce the next session. A very important session, insightful session that teaches you the value of sport. As Abhinav Bindra says, sports teaches you to lose more than winning more. It's been a great panel, great session towards making India a great superpower in 2036. Thank you to all my distinguished panelists and guests. Moving on to the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave 3.0, the inaugural day, the third session, stories of highs and lows, chess, badminton, and wrestling. It has been a phenomenal year for India when it comes to chess, when it comes to 2024, and not to forget the badminton and wrestling have long been the crown of India's head for a long, long time right now. May I call on stage Pulella Gopichand, Chief National Coach, Indian Badminton, with a huge, huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. He is going to be awarded with the Lifetime Achievement at the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave 3.0 really soon. Pulella Gopichand on stage, please. Vishwanathan Anand, 5 times world champion and VP FID. He's going to join us online as well. Dibyendu Borua, Grandmaster and Indian chess legend. Dibyendu da, tomake to stage ashte অনুরোধ korbo. May I request Dibyendu Borua to come up on stage, please? And none other than Sakshi Malik, Olympic medalist. It's a star-studded panel, ladies and gentlemen. Can we have a huge, huge round of applause for all the panelists of the session? Not to forget, Vishwanathan Anand will be joining the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave 3.0 via an online link. And a lot of conversations going on backstage. Pulilla Gopichand. And everybody is in readiness. To moderate this, may I call on stage Prantik Majumdar, co-founder Ref Sports, and Atreyo Mukhopadhyay, consulting editor Ref Sports, on stage, please. Thank you so much. Let the applause keep going. Yes, I know. Vishwanathan Anand will join us on Zoom, and we will take a couple of minutes to set up the stream and to test the audio. So requesting a couple of minutes from all of you. Thank you so much. A huge round of applause. Dibyendu Borua, Pullela Gopichand, and Sakshi Malik on stage, ladies and gentlemen, along with Prantik Majumdar and Atreyo Mukhopadhyay. And not to forget, Vishwanathan Anand will be joining the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave 3.0 on Zoom. Enjoy the session. Stories of highs and lows, chess, badminton and wrestling, a star-studded panel, and looking forward to the fabulous session at the Conclave. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Agni, and a very warm welcome to everyone to Trailblazers 3.0. It's been a fascinating start, and it's a sheer pleasure to have this wonderful much for doing that. और जिस तरह मनु जी कह के गई कि मतलब ज़रूरी है कि हमारे players आगे जाके future generations को मदद करें. So thank you so much. Mr. Boria, your high and your lowest point in your sporting career.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, my highest is, of course, to when I won the gold medal in the chess Olympiad on the second board, individual gold medal in 1990. That was in Yugoslavia. And of course, when I got the Grandmaster title, I became Grandmaster after Vishwanathan Anand. I was the second one. And there were many lowest performances, but yeah, when I was missing the Grandmaster norms, just by half points or 2 points. It happened for many years. So that was the low time.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Mr. Anand, question to you as well. Your highest high and your lowest low.
I don't know which title I would pick as my highest. I kind of like them all. But I would say the 2007 one in Mexico felt very special. And my lowest, probably in many ways, the way I felt about chess and the result was in the match in 2013.
Yes, I mean, with a checkered career like yours, it's hard to pick, from so many of the peaks that you've enjoyed. Now, having heard the highs and the lows, I think the question begs is, what lesson do we learn? And we typically talk about lessons from failures, but Mr. Anand, let me start with lessons from success. 2024 has been a fabulous year for Indian chess as a whole. So my question to you is, what lesson do we as a sporting fraternity learn? How do we potentially repeat 2024 for Indian chess, or a similar year for any sport? Because it's a year very, very hard to replicate. What lessons do the Gukeshes, the Pragyanandas, the Arjuns, and the future stars coming out, the Vaishalis, etc., what lessons do we learn as a sporting community to hopefully repeat a 2024 in chess once again?
I think we have to recognize that there's a role for luck. India did a lot of the right things with chess, and our chess players have been very, very impressive in the way they conduct themselves, in the way they prepare themselves for big events, with their ambition, with their goals, everything. But such a rare confluence when everything lovely happens at the same time. Look, I would say that even to be lucky, you have to be good. And in somehow we manage that. In my own case, typically after some period of success, I might have relaxed. Even without wanting to do it, you kind of slowly take your foot off the accelerator. It happens almost despite you. And that is a serious danger to avoid. So we must continue to build and see how to expand. How do we get more people playing the game? How do we get more women into the game? And continue to work for these things. But it's been a magical year. I'll certainly agree with that.
No, thank you for acknowledging the importance of being prepared for that luck to sort of play out as well. Mr. Gopichand, your own career, obviously there's been many successes. Of course, there have been a lot of challenges when it comes to injuries and health. So from a physical perspective, in a sport like badminton, where, there's so much of physicality involved, physical training involved, any thoughts or messages on what can athletes do to sort of bounce back from physical setbacks? How did you go about that journey?
About 30 years ago, 1994, I had an ACL tear on my left knee. Back in the day, and probably even today, that's a major injury to have. Again, in 96, I had another surgery on the same knee in 98. So I've had 3 back-to-back knee surgeries in my playing days, where I actually didn't have a physiotherapist also to recover. So it's been a career which, of course, is a very physical sport, and injuries are big. So I think somewhere down the line, it's very important to celebrate what you have. And when you're back on court, you're hungry for what you don't have. And I think it's very important to have both those perspectives, which are important. Because when I started playing after the injury, I didn't know how far I would go, but I was very thankful that I was able to play. And I think that itself was a big bonus. I think to celebrate those small victories, to feel happy about even just getting back, and thank God for at least making you back to that step, I think is important. So every step of the recovery, I would say, is about gratitude, is about feeling happy, almost cheating yourself to feel happy. Because when I got the injury, I was 20 years old, I had everything going right. But then when you have the injury and 6 months down, you're just starting to walk, you see a small muzzle pop out of your quadricep, you have to celebrate it, because you cannot wait for yourself to be the All England champion to celebrate. You have to celebrate the small, you have to cheat yourself to celebrate those small, sweet things. And I think it's a very important part of recovery. And also, when you fall the next time, it's important to be childlike and get up and forget it and start off again. I think that's a very important part of the journey of getting back.
Very wise words indeed. Small wins and just sort of celebrate those little moments rather than just wait for those peaks. साक्षी जी आपके लिए सवाल ये है कि मैच के दौरान अगेन गोइंग बैक टू आपका जो स्पेशल मोमेंट था 0-5 वो भी एक आप कह सकते हो मैच के दौरान एक लो पॉइंट उस मोमेंट में ऐसा क्या हुआ कि उसके बाद आप वहाँ से 8-5 जीती मेंटली आपने क्या स्विच करा दैट लेड यू टू दैट मैसिव विक्ट्री
फर्स्ट राउंड में 5-0 डाउन थी मैं तो 30 सेकेंड का ब्रेक मिला और उस समय जो कोच थे ओलंपिक में वो कुलदीप मलिक जी थे तो उन्होंने मुझे बताया सिर्फ 3 मिनट है या तो ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट या फिर खाली हाथ तो यही 3 मिनट है तुझे अपना बेस्ट करना है और तू बहुत ज़्यादा ताकतवर है तो मुझे हमेशा इस चीज़ से मोटिवेट करते थे कि तू दुनिया में सबसे ज़्यादा ताकतवर है तो ये चीज़ बहुत मुझे यूँ हुई कि नहीं लास्ट मौका है या तो ओलंपिक ब्रॉन्ज मेडल हाथ में होगा या खाली हाथ होगा बस फिर मैं वापस गई और मुझे यूँ था ये 3 मिनट मुझे बस अपना बेस्ट करना है रुकना नहीं है जो थोड़ा बहुत डर था जो पहले राउंड में मैं खुल के नहीं खेल पाई तो वो 3 मिनट जो है वो मैंने अपना बेस्ट किया और सोचा कि बस अपना यही एंड है चाहे यहाँ मर के ही क्यों ना जाना हो चाहे पूरा एनर्जी क्यों ना लगानी हो बस मेडल जीतना है तो वो एनर्जी और वो पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग मैंने लिया एंड देन वो काम किया और लास्ट मोमेंट में जो था बराबर होने के बाद फिर लास्ट 2 पॉइंट मैंने बिल्कुल लास्ट 5-7 सेकंड में लिया और फाइनली ओलंपिक ब्रॉन्ज मिला और वो डाइजेस्ट करने के लिए काफ़ी टाइम भी लगा क्योंकि मुझे हमेशा से यूँ था कि मुझे ओलंपिक मेडल जीतना है ओलंपिक पोडियम पे खड़ा होना है लेकिन यूँ नहीं था कि पहला ओलंपिक्स और उसी में ही मेडल हाँ तो वो मेरे लिए एक बहुत बड़ी विक्ट्री थी
फैंटास्टिक द रोल ऑफ अ कोच इज सो क्रिटिकल एंड हमने पिक्चरों में देखा है शाहरुख जी कहते थे चक दे में 70 मिनट आपके पास सिर्फ 3 मिनट Fantastic. Dibyendu ji, you do a lot for the grassroots sport as well. You've been, doing such great work. Again, as Mr. Anand said, it's not just about one person winning, but about driving that at a cultural level. At the grassroots level, what sort of coaching or advice do you give to young budding chess players when it comes to mental resilience? Manu spoke about grit. How do you sort of help them to cope? Because chess is such a mentally taxing game. It takes hours. We saw, in Singapore, Atreyu and I were sort of watching some of those games. How do you guide them to sort of cope from a mental perspective?
Yeah, it is very important that, chess is mind game. And when you lose a game, you cannot forget. It is not, it will always be in your mind that, oh, I made a mistake. I should not have done this. So to overcome this, I think, one has to, just forget about the game, that particular game or match, whatever it is, and you have to enjoy the moment and he has to come back for the next game. Because if you think of that game only, then it will affect in the next game also. So what for the last 20 years, I am running my academy and I tell all the youngsters that you have to enjoy the game. It is, of course, you will win, you will lose, and all of us, when we play for win, but you have to, accept that defeat with dignity. That is the main thing, because nowadays so much of competition, the youngsters cannot cope with the losses, so they just get upset. So that is the main important point that I always say, that you have to enjoy the game, forget about winning and losing. If you are really hard worker, you are working hard, and also you have the passion, then definitely the result will come.
Fantastic. Thanks for sort of guiding us towards defeat with dignity. I'll definitely remember that. Atreyu, over to you. Your questions, please.
Firstly, let me say that I'm really very privileged to be sharing the stage with these persons. It's my absolute honor. I mean, these people and me on the same stage, it's not possible. But by the way, I go back to Gopichand. Gopichand won All England the day Harbhajan Singh took a hat-trick against Australia in that 2001 VVS Lakshman cricket test match at Eden Gardens. Gopichand won All England on that day. And after that, I met Gopichand a lot of times. I went to Hyderabad. I met him first time in the LB Stadium. He was practicing 1 against 3. Gopichand on one side and 3 other players on the other side of the court. I asked why. He said, speed as an EA. International badminton ka jo, the speed that you're required to play at, you don't get that over here. So I have to practice against 3. In fact, he dropped me on his car to my hotel. After that, he became coach immediately after he stopped as a player. And then, from 2011 to 2023, India produced medal winners from the top events of the world. I mean, World Championship or the Olympics. From 11 to 23, non-stop, at least 1 medal. Gopichand, that stopped last year. I missed it very narrowly, 4th. What lies ahead? I mean, what do we look ahead to?
The issue with coming on a public platform is that you can't tell all the truths here. So you'll have to excuse me for not being honest. I would keep the honest answers for the in-room meetings of the BI and the SEI. Having said that, I think there's a lot of talent. When I used to play, there were 30 players playing. Today, there are probably 30,000 players playing, in that sense, literally. We used to have 3 badminton courts in Hyderabad. We have 1,000 badminton courts today. So I think the sport has grown huge. I think that influx has also ensured that the systemic growth which is needed, and I think Adil spoke about it, the coaches, the physios, the trainers, the ecosystem around it, the associations, the government, I think the understanding of the corporates, I think all of them have to come together. The tank is filled with talent. The pipeline and the tap also have to be clean to ensure that the talent comes through. I think at any stage, if we don't have a proper system, we will fail. And India at 2036 would mean that we actually have to run the entire system very well, and we'll have many, many medals is what I would say.
Gopichand keeps getting younger. I mean, the first time I met him, he is 10 years younger than that, by the way. I remember that Gopichand used to come to Calcutta on invitation of an organization called Badminton Players Association of Bengal, right? And he used to come here, and I used to go and meet him. At that point in time, he used to tell me that, okay, there is this girl coming up. What's her name? Saina Nehwal. She was playing juniors at the point in time. After that, I asked boss, what lies ahead? He said that another girl coming up, PV Sindhu. We don't want to get into names, Gopichand, but I remember that you kept insisting that we need a bigger pool, and we need a bigger pool of coaches, not just players. Coaches. Has that been fulfilled?
I think definitely not. I think we need coaches who are committed. Infrastructure doesn't produce results. Good coaches produce results. I think we need to invest in ensuring that our best players turn to coaches. We respect our coaches, we respect the ecosystem and the support team, and that's a very important part of producing the next generation of players. We've inspired them. A lot of people are coming to play. We need to ensure that we convert them into players, and that's a very important thing. One thing, I think maybe off the subject, but also very important to understand that world level sport is a totally different beast. It's not state level or recreational in any which way. I think that difference is very important to understand, that to produce recreational players or state level players and to produce an Olympic level athlete is a totally different game, which needs very specific input and targeting. People think it is not rocket science and we can get into it. And the challenge is that it is rocket science. And if you don't know, you don't know. And that understanding is very critical.
Wonderful, wonderful.
No, fantastic. On that note, Mr. Anand, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. The rocket science part of it, right? Your thoughts, is Indian chess today, the best it has ever been? Are we world class? Not just again from a 2024 perspective, but to what Mr. Gopichand was saying, that today do we have a culture where we feel that in the coming decade, India will thrive and be in the top echelons of chess? Do you feel very positive about Indian chess?
Yes. I think it's possible to say now that India is one of the top 3 or 4 countries at most. We are number 1 by several measures, but not all of them. And the thing is, if you have 3 players, I think the oldest is maybe is going to be 21. And then what this also means is that for the next 10 years or 15 years, Indian fans can really have a fantastic time watching chess tournaments, because there's going to be at least one player in every important event. There isn't going to be a competition where we are not represented. Do we have that same situation in women? Not exactly. Though the Women's Olympiad was a highlight, I think we need to do more to get to that stage in women. But we have a much strong. India is definitely the strongest it has ever been, and we are one of the top countries in the world. But from an internal perspective, I think there's so much capacity to grow. There's so much potential talent out there in India, and we could do even much better. So, there's a lot to work for. And one more thing. It's fantastic that we have 3 or 4 youngsters who are all competing against each other. So they're not just sitting there thinking it's nice that I have company. They're looking back every stage thinking there's someone on my back. It's nice when you might be one of the best players in the world, but you might not even be the best player in your house or in your city. It keeps you sharper, I think, and I think that bodes very well for Indian chess, that we have a very, very competitive scene here, and that pushes everyone just that bit harder.
Thank you, and we owe a lot to you for reaching that particular stage. Atreyu, your question.
I have a question. I mean, since it's on chess, let me move on to chess. I mean, sitting next to me is Dibyendu Borua, who beat Victor Korchnoi, the reigning world number 2 at that point in time, when he was 15 or 16 years old. That was in the early or mid-80s, right? That was at 82, as Dada says. So, that was before an Indian made a mark at the world level in this game. That happened before Vishwanathan Anand happened. Huh? I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. Sitting next to me, this person did it. And he's not just a chess player. He's a coach. He's an administrator. He's the vice president of the All India Chess Federation. He has seen this game from all the levels possible. Dibyendu, my question for you is that we see a lot of politics in chess. I mean, we see a lot of administrative, maramari. So, has Indian chess developed irrespective of that or because of that? I know it's a tough question.
And you can be honest here.
Now, first, let me tell you that Indian chess has developed definitely not for that reason. Of course, we had, after me, there was Vishwanathan Anand, Vishy came up, and he was the first Indian to win the World Junior Championship, and then he became the first Indian to be the Grandmaster, and then and so on. And Anand, I think, is the first icon in Indian chess, and for him only, we can see so many youngsters are playing, so many. Now India is really number 1 in the world. And I must say that because of Anand's contribution to the Indian chess in the last maybe 5-6 years, he is working with the youngsters, this Gukesh, Pagnanda, Arjuna Legacy, because he's in the Waka Academy, he's having West Beach Chess Academy, and where he himself, he advise them, he gives them the tips, guide them, and that's the reason we had number 1 now. in the world. And Gukesh will be here tomorrow. We all will know from him that how he came up. So I think, okay, that was, of course, I was the first person to defeat a world number 2, Victor Kostner. He was at that time world number 2. But no one could believe that a 16-year-old boy from India can defeat a world number 2. But that was a story past. And then now, of course, because of the legendary player Anand and what today, we see it is because of the Anand only.
And as we speak, after Gukesh won the World Championship last year, we all know that, Pragyananda won the year's biggest chess tournament of 2025 at Vikanzi. And as we speak now, Pragyananda and Arvind Chidambaram are leading the Prague Masters, which is a fairly prestigious tournament. They are the leaders at the moment. And chances are very high that one of them will win it. So, and this goes to, I mean, I was speaking to a lot of players. I mean, I was trying to write copies, that is my job. And I was trying to speak to players that what caused this? How did this happen? A lot of them told me that, coaches have come into the system. I mean, the players who used to be strong players, they have come into coaching. Names we know, I mean, Dibendra is one guy himself. There is R.B. Ramesh, of course. Surya Sekhar Ganguly, Sandipan Chanda, Vishnu Prasanna, Srinath Narayanan. They are fairly good players, accomplished players. They have come into coaching, and that has pushed this revolution. But one man has remained so accessible to everybody, and that's Mr. Anand. Anand, I mean, how does this happen? How do you remain so accessible to everybody, to kids? You invite them to your house.
I mean, once you call me accessible, I immediately wanted to say I can't hear you. No, but thank you very much. Look, I like interacting with them. And so it was very touching that as soon as they become a grandmaster, they would ask if they could visit. And I was happy to meet them. They would show me some game they played on their way to the title. We discussed chess a little bit. And I always enjoyed these encounters. That many of those who did that have gone on to such great heights is due to a lot of reasons. A lot of things came together. You know, the system developed, the ecosystem developed, and now, as you mentioned, we have coaches, we have people who are able to popularize the game, we have sponsors. You know, it all comes together, and I think that explains a lot. As you mentioned, the work of all our coaches, including Dibyendu, and I'm happy that I could join this party a little bit late. I started just a few years back and a bit more specialized in whom I was selecting, but we have wonderful coaches and a wonderful system in India, and the system is very resilient. So I think that explains why India is doing very well in chess.
And probably my last question, Sakshi ji के लिए. जी मैं वो बाउट देख रहा था 2016 रियो ओलंपिक इंडिया में करीब इट वाज 2 o'clock और समथिंग ऐसा 2-3 बज रहा था काफ़ी रात था मैं देख रहा था वो बाउट उस इट वाज 17th और 18th अगस्त ऐसा कुछ था हाँ तो उस वक्त इंडिया का एक भी मेडल नहीं आता उस ओलंपिक से मतलब 2012 there were 6 medals and up to that point in time there was nothing, 0. आपने वो बंधन तोड़ा आप 0-5 डाउन थे वहाँ से ख़त्म कर दिया आपने उसको मैच को जी मैं एक बात पूछना चाहता हूँ कि देखिए 2008 से लेके 2024 हर ओलंपिक में इंडिया ने रेस्लिंग में एटलीस्ट 1 मेडल लाया एटलीस्ट 1 मेडल और कभी कभी 2 भी आए और वर्ल्ड चैम्पियनशिप उसमें भी इंडिया 2-3 मेडल जीतता है तो मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि क्या फेडरेशन बहुत गलत था मतलब फेडरेशन कुछ नहीं किया कोई कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं है
सर मैं बता दूं जो मेन कंट्रीब्यूशन होता है ना सर वो पर्सनल कोच का होता है जहाँ से हमने शुरुआत की होती है। एक तो वही बात है कि रेसलिंग जैसे स्पोर्ट में वही रेसलिंग का सपोर्ट करता है जिसके पास फाइनेंशियल जो बहुत ही मतलब मिडिल क्लास से भी बहुत नीचे परिवार से आते हैं, वो अपने हार्ड वर्क से वहाँ पर पहुँचते हैं और हाँ जी बिल्कुल अपने हार्ड वर्क से पहुँचते हैं और पहुँचने के बाद भी टू बी ऑनेस्ट मैं किसी गेम के साथ कंपेयर नहीं करी, लेकिन वो पहचान रेसलिंग को नहीं मिल पाती है। ये सच्चाई है और ये सब जानते भी हैं। जो पहचान और स्पोर्ट्स को मिलती है वो रेसलिंग को नहीं मिलती है। सबसे हार्ड स्पोर्ट है और कॉन्टैक्ट स्पोर्ट है और बिल्कुल उस फैमिली से आते हैं जहाँ बिल्कुल खाने को भी मतलब
वर्ल्ड के टॉप प्लेयर्स हैं लोग, मतलब आप लोग वर्ल्ड के टॉप प्लेयर्स हो। हाँ,
किसानी करते हैं पेरेंट्स, मतलब उनके जो फादर है, मेरे खुद पापा कंडक्टर थे, तो उस फैमिली से आते हैं और अपने हार्ड वर्क से वहाँ तक पहुँचते हैं। और फिर भी फेडरेशन में जो है वो बहुत सारी चीज़ें, मैं कोच जैसे सर भी बता रहे हैं कोचेज़ के बारे में और मनु भी बता रही है कि वो कोचेज़ होने चाहिए जो हमें और ऊपर लेवल तक लेके जाए। लेकिन फेडरेशन में कोचेज़ कौन लगते हैं? जो जाके फेडरेशन में पानी मारते हैं, जो उनके क्लोज होते हैं, वो कोचेज़ फेडरेशन में लगते हैं। तो कितना रोल हुआ फेडरेशन का? एक पहलवान अपनी मेहनत से अपने हार्ड वर्क से बनता है, अपने पेरेंट्स के हार्ड वर्क से बनता है, जो किसानी करते हैं, दूध बनाते हैं, घी बनाते हैं, वो अपने बच्चों को खिलाते हैं, डेली इतना ज़्यादा ट्रैवल करके अपने बच्चों के लिए दूध और घी बेचते हैं, तो वो अपने हार्ड वर्क से जहाँ तक पहुँचते हैं। अगर फेडरेशन में सुधार होगा, कोचेज़ जैसा मन्नू ने बताया कि अपने इंडिया में बहुत अच्छे कोचेज़ हैं, बहुत अच्छे रेसलर्स रहे हैं जिनको कभी फेडरेशन ने मौका ही नहीं दिया कोचेज़ लगने का। अगर वो कोचेज़ लगेंगे तो मैं गारंटी के साथ कह रही हूँ कि जो मेडल मिस होते हैं वो मिस भी नहीं होंगे और रेसलिंग जो है सबसे ज़्यादा मेडल्स जो है ओलंपिक्स में लेकर के आएगा सर।
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of this panel, remember any sport is all about highs and lows and how we pick ourselves. And as we sort of reflect on this session, firstly I want to thank Mr. Anand, Mr. Gopichand, Ms. Malik, Mr. Barua and my fellow panelist, Mr. Atreyo, for joining us here. 3-4 quick lessons to remember. I think, Mr. Anand, thank you for sort of reminding us that luck plays a very big role, but we've constantly got to be prepared. Gopichand sir spoke about the importance of small wins, importance of not just waiting for those World Cups and Champions Trophies and All Englands, but those little wins so that you can propel forward. Sakshi ji, I'll never forget that 3 minute ki kya value hoti hai. Thank you for reminding all of us. 3 minutes could change your life and change the pride of nation. And Mr. Borua, again, the point that a teenager could become a sensation and change the face of a nation. Thank you for making us believe. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Prantik. Thank you so much.
And may I request...
It's been a huge honor to be here. It's been a huge honor to be here with all these people. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And ladies and gentlemen, may I request Mr. Sanjeev Navangul, MD, Bharat Serum and Vaccines, to come up on the stage for the felicitation, please. Thank you so much. And while the felicitation happens, and it will continue to happen, I'll have one request to all the athletes who are there on stage, including Gopi sir, if you can just sign that board for us. We will take that home, this one. If you can just sign it. Post the felicitation. Thank you. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Pulilla Gopichand, Dibbendu Borua, Sakshi Malik and Vishwanathan Anand. A session to cherish and remember for a long time. And as we keep on saying at Ref Sports, sports teaches you to lose more often than win and to accept defeat with dignity. I think that is the biggest takeaway for me, the biggest learning for me from this session. What a fantastic session it has been. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we move on to our fourth session and the final session of the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave 3.0 Day 1. Tomorrow we have an early start. We start with the registrations at 9 a.m. And the first session, the Paralympic session, India's Paralympic Revolution. That session starts at 9:45, just a quick reminder. And as we speak, we are ready to move on to the concluding act of Day 1 of the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave 3.0. If there was someone who we missed at the Border Gavaskar Trophy this year, it was India's number 3 from the previous Border Gavaskar Trophy tours to Australia. Toota hai Gaba ka Ghamand. We speak about Rishabh Pant, we speak about Shubman Gill, but do we often speak about the person who stood there like a rock, like a tree, weathering all the blows? His body was all bruised from head to toe, but when he came back to India, he was a fighter, he was a resilient and a strong force for India to win the Border Gavaskar Trophy in Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are thrilled to have Mr. Cheteshwar Pujara on stage for the final session of the Rep Sports Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave 3.0. Never say never, eye on England, Cheteshwar Pujara in conversation with Boria Majumdar. We will take just a couple of minutes to set up the stage. Cheteshwar Pujara is waiting for us and he has been listening to the last session intently. I am just thinking what must be going on in Pujara's mind, in Cheteshwar Pujara's mind, listening to Vishwanath and all the other dignitaries on stage. The last session, never say never, eye on England. The man who stood like a rock and the man who we missed in this year's Border Gavaskar Trophy Tour to Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Cheteshwar Pujara for the final session of day one. Never say never, eye on England. Boria Majumdar in conversation with Cheteshwar Pujara.
Okay, let me set this up. Let me set this up for my friend. Aram se. So, Arvind ji is a dear friend of mine, Cheteshwar's father. And by the way, as I start, there are quite a few people I need to welcome once again. There's my friend, and I will call him on stage soon for a very sort of lovely photo op, because we are going to, after this session, I want to create a moment. I want to create a moment as I celebrate Cheteshwar and I celebrate Gopi. We will obviously honor Cheteshwar as one of the greatest Indian cricketers, and we will honor Gopi with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And for that, I want to create this moment where Cheteshwar and Navdeep, my friend, will come up on stage in a bit after this session to honor Gopi. And Gopi and Navdeep will honor Cheteshwar along with Sri Chanakya Chaudhary. So that's how we will do the final act, ladies and gentlemen, in about 30-35 minutes from now. But, so I was speaking to Cheteshwar's father, Arvindji. And Arvindji tells me Cheteshwar was a teenager. He called Arvindji, he was playing a match. He called Arvindji and he said, I'm coming back at so-and-so time. Kindly, send my mom to pick me up from the bus station. And he said, yes. So when Cheteshwar actually came back and arrived at the bus station, his mother wasn't there. So he was a little taken aback and he asked his dad, so where's mom? And the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, his mother had passed away. His father did not tell Cheteshwar because he wanted him to focus on his game and get his game better. Now you know why after 71 years, 1947-48, and you have Sir Donald Bradman's bat outside, which I will absolutely show Cheteshwar, the 300s with which he got, that bat is displayed outside. 71 years between 1947-48 and 2018. One man stood between India and Australia, won us that Border Gavaskar trophy, and then 3 years later, once again doing it with black bruises all over his body. Ladies and gentlemen, the concluding act of tonight, Cheteshwar Pujara. If you were there in the Border Gavaskar trophy this time, you would have won. Tell me.
Firstly, very good evening, everyone. Yes, I was very confident. If I was there, then we wanted to make a hat-trick. So I wouldn't deny that.
That's my headline. Say it again. Trisha, you've just got your headline.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Indian team, whenever we play against Australia, it is always a competitive test series. Whether we are playing in India or in Australia, and the track record says that we have won more number of times against them than they have won the BGT. So, yeah, even this time, even although I wasn't there, we started really well. The first test match was really a good one. And probably it is a little unfortunate that after that, things didn't go our way.
Is Australia the new Pakistan?
In a way, I would agree because they are one of the most toughest rivals when it comes to Test cricket. And Indian team never likes losing against Aussies. They are quite competitive on the field. Whenever you are on the field, you can never win a Test match easily against Australia. And they are, I mean, everyone knows they are quite vocal about, whenever we are playing, they will try and ensure that they will make us hear if we are not playing well. And on-field banter or the, sledging always goes on with Aussies. So when you beat them, it's a different feeling altogether. And Ravi Bhai once ended up saying in 2018 when we won the first Boria Majumdar trophy in 71 years, that it is as good as winning a World Cup.
True.
And all the players, did feel like that it is like winning a World Cup. When you beat Australia, in front of their home crowd, it's a different feeling altogether.
Shane Warne said once that when he kind of gets up from his sleep, he still sees Sachin Tendulkar at Sharjah. Josh Hazelwood said he will see Cheteshwar Pujara. यार आपने तो इतना थकाया आपने खत्म कर दिया. But tell me, how is it possible for you batting such long hours against Australia? And how does Australia bring the best out of Cheteshwar Pujara? And why?
Well, it has all started from 2010. I made my debut against Aussies, and that's the first time when I encountered sledging. That's when they were.
क्या बोल रहा था बोलिए ना. Unparliamentary नहीं होगा तो बोल दीजिए.
यहाँ पर तो नहीं बोल सकता क्योंकि सुनने में कभी अच्छा नहीं लगता था जिस तरह के words use होते थे. तो काफ़ी मुश्किल था मेरे लिए. And being a youngster, you feel aggressive. You feel like, I want to say something back to him. But at that time, I didn't know how to react, and I thought the best way to react is to start scoring runs against them, start beating them, and then once you beat them, once you start winning the test matches, then whenever I used to feel that short leg, that was the time when I used to give it back to them. And I was very careful of the stump mic because one has to be very careful. There are certain words which were exchanged which I can't tell now, but I did feel good after saying something back to them, because we are never the ones who will start the sledging. Aussies are the one who will most of the times start the sledging. So it all started from 2010, and after that all the Boria Majumdar trophies I have been part of, which has been very competitive. And talking about the Aussies, they are one of the most competitive teams, because victories against Aussies never come easy. One has to work really, really hard. Even when we are playing in India, the kind of preparations they have, the kind of game planning they have, they are probably one of the best in the world, no matter which format you are playing. But when it comes to Test cricket, they have the proper balance. So they are very well prepared. And when you want to win against them, you also as a player or as a team, you have to be very well prepared. And success the reason for which I got success is the preparation. Because before any series, I ensured that I have the best preparation, which allows me to be successful whenever we are playing against Aussies. So I always used to try and replicate the conditions. When we were playing in India, whenever I was at home, I used to play on turning tracks. Before going into Australia, I used to ensure that I used to play with cork ball on a cement pitch, where the bowlers used to bowl from 16 to 18 yards. And before I went to the 2018 Australian tour, one of my friend who used to help me, he told me, because he used to bowl from 16 to 18 yards, that this time I can ensure you that Mitchell Starc wouldn't be able to bother you, because he was a left-arm seamer. His name is Kuldeep Sharma. He has played under-19 Indian cricket with me. So he told me that now when you go to Australia, none of the Aussie bowlers will be able to trouble you, because we have seen the kind of preparations you have gone through, the number of bouncers you have faced in the nets, and this preparation will definitely give you success. And that is what happened. Eventually, I did get my success, but the reason for that success was preparation. And for any sports person or for any cricketer, one can always say that if you have prepared well, you are always confident enough.
Let me now kind of give you a bit of a tough one. The truth is, and I'm not saying it because you are on this panel with me. For India in Australia, the problem was that number 3 position. And whatever it is, whoever batted, whether it is Shubman, whether it is someone else, we did not get the scores that we needed. We are playing perhaps the toughest tour in 3 months from now. June 20th, first test match, Leeds. You had a decent domestic season. You will once again play county cricket. Are you ready? Are you ready if you are called for a comeback? Are you ready to do the job for India in England?
Yes, of course. As a cricketer, one always wants to play for the Indian team. And I am doing whatever I can to get that success. If the team needs me, I'm definitely ready. I'm training well. I've been playing domestic cricket. I've been playing county cricket since last couple of years. I've been scoring heavily in domestic circuit. So if given an opportunity, yes, I'll be more than ready to grab it with both hands. And Test cricket is something which I've loved playing since my childhood. And after playing 100 test matches, you always feel that you always miss being part of the team. And whenever team doesn't do well, it always hurts you. Although even if you are not part of the team, but when you are watching it from TV, whenever Indian team is playing any format, but I think when it comes to white ball cricket, the losses are slightly easier to accept. When it comes to test cricket, when you start losing away from home, it hurts you. So yeah, if I get an opportunity to answer your question, I'll be more than happy to grab that opportunity.
So the hunger is still very much the same?
It is. I would say it's even more because when you become a little older, you need to work harder. You need to look after your fitness. You need to train even more. And there are little weaknesses which all the other cricket playing nations have, tried identifying. So you need to work on your technique. You need to work on your temperament a bit more. And I've been doing that. So yes, I mean, I've done whatever I can in my control to, be in touch with the game, and that hunger is still there.
2007 was the last time we won in England. 2007 1-0, 11-12 0-4 loss, 14 once again after that first test match, Lords Ishan 7 for 70, 3-1, 18 1-4, 21-22, after that COVID thing, 2-1 up, then we lost that. Is England, I mean, people have already said former England players, Nasser, Michael Atherton, India has no chance, etc., England favourites. Do you buy that, or do you give India a real chance?
No, this Indian team definitely has a very good chance. Even if you look at the England bowling lineup, they are slightly weak after Anderson has retired and Stuart Broad is not there anymore in the England playing 11. So I feel that this Indian team, the young Indian team, if you look at our bowling lineup with Bumrah, Shami and Siraj, the bowling lineup is there. It's about putting enough number of runs on the board for our bowlers to take those 20 wickets, and I'm sure that guys are capable enough. So I wouldn't say that India doesn't have any chance. Definitely this team has a chance, but it's never easy when you are playing overseas. You need experience. You need players to stick to basics, because nowadays game is moving forward. I can definitely accept that there are more players who are playing a little more aggressively. They are playing white ball cricket, and the kind of shots which they play is slightly different. But test cricket, when it comes to test cricket, it doesn't change. We have been playing this format for more than 100 years, and we have seen that to gain success in test format, you still need to respect the conditions, still need to respect the bowlers. And when the right time comes, that's when you start playing shots. So one always has to understand that, to find that right balance, because you can't be over aggressive. We have been seeing the England team, they've spoken a lot about taking this test format forward, playing baseball. But if you look at the last two WTC cycles, they haven't qualified for the WTC finals in any of them. So ultimately you need success, and success comes when you play the format how it should be played. And test cricket, I don't think it's going to change a lot. Yes, I mean, one has to play to their strength. You can't ask someone like Rishabh Pant to bat slowly. He has to play his way. But you have different characters in the team, and each and every team has to identify those characters, and you need to try and make them play according to their strength.
That was a nice sledge for England, by the way. That was a good sledge. By the way, a lot of my friends from the media are there as well, okay? So I must ask you this. I mean, you have played in different conditions. There is so much talk about India playing all its matches in Dubai. You were there in Pakistan with Wasim and doing those shows. Is this an unfair advantage at all?
I don't think so. Look, this schedule was out there before Champions Trophy began. The reason Indian team couldn't travel to Pakistan is the security of the team. And ICC and BCCI have worked together to try and find a neutral venue, a solution. And India has played against Pakistan or any other teams at a neutral venue. And most of the times it's been UAE, which is quite closer to Pakistan. So it becomes easier logistically. So I don't think it is an unfair advantage. I mean, if India had lost, no one would have said that India was playing at Dubai and that's why they lost. So I don't think it's a home ground for the Indian team. The advantage for the Indian team is the kind of talent we have, the number of all-rounders we have. We have someone like Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel. Then when we speak about spinners, we have Kuldeep and Varun. So we have 4 quality spinners. If you look at the other teams, they don't have even 2 quality spinners. And that's why they are struggling, whether they are playing at UAE or even in Pakistan. So I don't think that's the right way to put it across. I think we have the best balance. We have better all-rounders than the other teams. We have Hardik, who is another all-rounder. So we have 3 all-rounders in playing 11. And then you have the quality top order in the batting lineup. So it's the balance of the team which is making India a successful team rather than the venue.
So based on this, everybody would want to know your opinion. Are the Indians the favorites on Sunday?
Definitely, without any doubt. The kind of form we are in, we have beaten New Zealand in the league phase. So I'm very hopeful that this time the only thing which we'll have to focus on is handling the pressure, because when it comes to big games, New Zealand is the one which has handled the pressure better. But at Dubai, I think the kind of form the players are in, I feel that India has a better chance of winning the Champions Trophy.
That's your headline. India has the best chance of winning the Champions Trophy, ladies and gentlemen. Cheteshwar Pujara, quote, unquote, Sunday. So that's the news headline. Coming back to you again. You know, batting for, when I see, and again, I think of the New Zealand series where India lost 0-3. I see people playing 5 balls and playing what they call a release shot. And I'm like, what do you mean a release shot in a test match? When I see you, even if you play 50 balls, 100 balls, 150 balls, 200 balls, I don't see many like you. Are you a rare beast? You are, of course you are. But what does it take, Cheteshwar, to bat for 1,000 balls in a series? That intense concentration. Can you take me backstage and talk a little bit about your process?
Well, there is a prize on your wicket. And since now many players are playing the shorter format a bit more, their style of play has changed. Their mindset has changed. Because in a shorter format, you need to play shots, you need to play aggressively. So your preparation is also a bit more with the white ball, because young players, they end up practicing more with the white ball. So in the nets, most of the times they are playing shots. Now when it comes to red ball cricket, when I started playing cricket, when I made my debut for the Indian team, I had the great players like Rahul Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar, VVS Lakshman, who were part of the squad. And I saw them prepare. And they used to bat hours and hours in the nets without making any mistakes, just playing normal cricketing shots. So that's how I learned. That's how I started learning this game. That's how I, started practicing. So you need to have, you need to play n number of balls in the nets without making any mistake. And you also need to control your mind when you're out there in the middle. There are times where you will have the urge of going over the top. There are times where you feel like, I haven't got a boundary in last 15, 20 balls. What should I do now? Should I play a shot where I can get a boundary or a 6? And then you need to tell yourself, what is the best result for the team? If I try and take that risk, is it going to help the team? And most of the times in test format, the answer is no. Because you need to hold yourself back. You need to build a partnership. You look at the bigger picture. What is the total India is chasing? What is the total we are looking to put on the board? And for that, you need to make a lot of sacrifices within yourself, within your head. And nowadays, we are living in an era where everything is very fast. And the mindset of the young players is also that I don't mind taking that chance. If I get a success, if I get a 4 or a 6, then I am releasing that pressure. But you need to soak in that pressure for the bigger cause, for your team, for the Indian team. And if you want to be victorious, it's not your way, it's the team's way. What is the best way to bat for the team? Not for yourself, but for the country.
Brilliant answer. Absolutely brilliant answer. Cheteshwar, you've batted with Virat for such a long time. You've played with Rohit for such a long time. We in the media, we start judging. People on social media start judging. So-and-so's done. What is your objective opinion? Do we jump the gun? Because obviously we don't know the dressing room. 5 failures, 4 failures, did not, two back-to-back series, people don't score. We say so-and-so is finished. Do you think that players with such kind of experience, and I'm being blunt here, do you think Virat can still make a difference to the Indian team in England?
Definitely he can. Look at the kind of experience he has, the number of runs he has scored in all 3 formats. So there are times where a player is bound to fail because the expectations are so high. We start saying that he's not scoring runs. And yes, I mean, there have been times that he hasn't scored runs, but he has earned the right to fail, because someone who has been successful for over a period of time, for so many years in all three formats, then you need to, say that yes, he's going through a tough time. We need to back him. He's someone who has won us so many matches. Now, this is the tough time. I mean, he's not going through a tough time anymore. He's scoring runs. But there was a time where he wasn't scoring too many runs, especially in the Australian series, where he got 100 in the first test match, and then he got out early in rest of the matches. But he's someone who is capable enough of winning test matches for the country. So when someone fails, that is the time when you need backing from the team, from the people of this country. And when the people are supporting, then that confidence level always goes high. And in my opinion, I genuinely feel that he can make a difference in the team, and I'm sure that he will carry on playing cricket in test format as well.
That's heartening, because it's important from someone as accomplished as you is in terms of red ball cricket. 2 questions. I've got 10 more minutes. One, when I see the Indian Test team, between a period we were right up there. We were perhaps the best Test team in the world, multiple times winning the Test mace. Is that the change, that your generation, that earlier overseas India wouldn't win? But now we have learnt that art, beating Australia in Australia, challenging South Africa in South Africa, challenging England in England. Is winning a Test series away from home the pinnacle of a cricketer's career?
It is, without any doubt. If you ask any young player, someone like Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, you ask them, what is the best thing you would want in Test cricket? And their answer will be to win a Test series away from home, whether it's New Zealand, whether it's England, whether it's Australia, whether it's South Africa, but winning a Test series away from home. And that is where a player always wants to perform well. Because in the Indian conditions, when you score 100, yes, you feel good about it. Media will praise you, but you will get the best compliment when you start scoring overseas. And any player, not just a batter, but even a bowler. Bowlers are always looking forward to overseas tours, because fast bowlers, they need those conditions. In India, it's slightly tougher for them to pick wickets. But even for a spinner, the challenge is to be successful overseas. So whenever Indian team wins a Test match or a Test series, the celebration is different, the satisfaction is different. And before any series, even if you look at the preparation, now most of the times, despite the schedule, we will have 2 to 3 weeks of preparation before Indian team travels to any overseas country. So that is the pinnacle of any cricketer's career, that to win a Test series overseas.
Now a tough one. Cheteshwar Pujara was instrumental in winning India the 2018 series, the 2021 series. And then I see a young rookie getting 14, 15 crores in the IPL. Do you feel bad about it?
Not at all.
And why? How can it be?
Look, when I started playing cricket, there was no money. I never started playing this game for money. I am thankful to God for allowing me to have played more than 100 Test matches for the country. And for me, cricket is never about money. It is passion. It is love for the game. So if someone is getting paid more, I'm not jealous. I'm not worried, because I'm very content in my life. I'm very happy with my life. And for me, it is about contributing to the Indian cricket rather than, looking at the financial. I mean, someone is getting X number of money. I think they deserve it. They have worked hard for it. And it is good. See, when I started playing for the Indian team in Test format, the match fees were a lot higher than the previous generation. So they were never jealous of me getting paid more, because someone like Rahul Bhai, Lakshman Bhai, although they are great players, but they were not paid same number of money which I got when I started playing for the Indian team. So the times do change and players do get paid more, and that is how it should be. Because we are living in an era where T20 format is more popular, and that's the truth. I mean, yes, the hardcore cricket fans will always love Test format, but the game is moving forward, and we'll have to accept that T20 format will have a bit more commercial value, and the players who are successful in that format will get paid more. So there is nothing wrong in it. They should get paid more. But the only request I would have is to focus on playing for the country first rather than focusing on playing the franchise cricket.
So Cheteshwar Pujara is classical music, T20 is Bollywood, and both are fine. It's the market need. The market dictates. Who are we to criticize the market? Last couple of questions. You have played under many captains. Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma. I'm not asking you to rate them who's the best, but give me a flavor. You know, MS, how does he stand out? Virat, what stands out in Virat? And Rohit, what stands out in Rohit?
I'll start with Mahi. I made my debut when Mahi was he was the captain of Indian Test team. The quality which he possesses is to stay calm under pressure. And he never panics. Although there are times where we had a tough bowling unit, we used to play with 4 bowlers in playing 11 to strengthen our batting lineup, and there were times where we had conceded more than 500 runs overseas. But he realized that we didn't have the best of bowling lineup, and that's when he started working on finding fast bowlers who could bowl more 140 kilometers an hour. And after that, Mahi retired in 2015, and we started seeing the success with the Indian team a little later. But Mahi was the one who started that work. He realized what is the strength and weaknesses, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the Indian team. So he understood the team really well. For him, it was always about the team. It was about paying attention to each and every player, paying attention to the support staff. So for him, it wasn't about him, it was just about the team. And that's how he led the team. Talking about Virat, he came in, I mean, he became captain after Mahi retired from Test format, and he has been an aggressive player, and that reflected in his captainship as well. He has been an aggressive captain. He wanted to win series overseas. That's how he started his captainship, because his first captainship was in Australia in 2015. We lost that Test series, but after that, he told that this is our goal. Whenever we play overseas, we want to win. We are not just going to go there and compete, but whenever we go there, our attitude will be to win Test series away from our home. And all the guys did believe. We had quality fast bowlers then. And then we started winning Test series overseas. And, you know, that has become a hallmark of the Indian Test side, that we won in Australia twice. And then we started performing well in South Africa and England. So, you know, that talking about Virat's captainship, I mean, he had led the Test side for quite a long time, and he paid a lot of attention to fitness as well. That is something which he has worked himself. So that's the strength of Virat. And talking about Rohit, Rohit is always himself. He stays calm. He doesn't filter. When he's talking to the players, he will say whatever is there in his heart. There is no second thought about, if he thinks something, he will straight away tell the player that this is what he feels. And he's a team man. Look, he's someone who has made a big sacrifice in terms of when we look at the white ball cricket, especially the ODI format, the way he bats in the first 10 overs, being fearless, you know, leading from the front, that this is how we want to play cricket in one-day format. It doesn't matter how many runs he scores. For him, it's about getting that early start for the team. Within the power play, you want 70-80 in first 10 overs. And he's the one who will do 30 ball, 45 or 50. But whenever he gets there, he's not thinking about his score. He's just thinking about how he needs to play for the team. And that's the biggest positive, I would say, because sometimes when you are an opener, when you get in 30 balls, when you get 45 or 50, then you always feel like, if I play slowly, if I play another 10-15 overs, I can always get to 100. And it's very easy to get to 100. But for him, it's about putting the team first. And that's the biggest quality Rohit has.
Last question. What is the... Yeah, absolutely. What is the... 100 plus test matches, so many hundreds, so many great innings for India. If I ask you to choose one that you will not trade for anything, the greatest moment in Cheteshwar Pujara's career so far, because it's, as I said, I want you in that England team. But what is the one that you will talk about?
I'll have to choose two because
Please.
winning Test series on Australian soil for the first ever time in, more than 71 years. In 2018, when we won that Test series, that's the biggest achievement of my Test career so far. And after that, in 2020 and 21, when we did that again on Australian soil, after having so many hurdles, we lost so many players because of the injury. Virat had to come back. And no one believed that India can repeat the history. India can win against Australia again with their full side, because in 2018 everyone used to say that they didn't have David Warner and Steve Smith, but they were back in the squad. So to win the series again was probably the best achievement the Indian team has had.
Absolutely fantastic. So 4 headlines. India favourites. Eye on England. Cheteshwar Pujara very happy to get back. He's still as hungry. Talked about the respective captaincy strengths. And the truth is, he was not being politically correct. That oftentimes happens with cricketers in a panel because they give you politically correct answers. I pushed him with the IPL question. He played with a straight bat like he did against Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazelwood. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for one of the greatest that India has seen. On that note, my dear friend, Honorable Minister of Fire Services, one of our top-notch sports administrators for hockey and football, Shujit Bosch, and my dear friend Srinjoy Bosch, Editor-in-Chief of Shongbad Pratidin, Shujit Da and Srinjoy on stage to felicitate Cheteshwar Pujara, please. And once this felicitation is done, I want to call 2 very special people, 3. I want to call Paralympic gold medalist and someone who has done Makasam, the most famous 2 words in Indian Paralympic lingo, to come up with Pulela Gopichand and Sri Chanakya Chaudhary, because we've got a very, very important act to do. And by the way, this Titan watch once again has been specially curated by my friends from Titan for this particular conclave. It is a limited edition Titan watch that we are presenting to our speakers. Taro bhai, for the photo. Three of you stay on. May I please request 3 more people. Ladies and gentlemen, extremely important. This conclave, as I said, is about multi-sport. Cheteshwar Pujara, one of the greatest cricketers that we've seen. Pulela Gopichand, Dronacharya, one of the greatest sports persons that we've seen. Navdeep Singh, one of the greatest Paralympians that India has seen with the gold. May I have all of them on stage, along with Sri Chanakya Chaudhary, to present the Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of Rev Sports to Sri Pulela Gopichand. And this photo moment will be captured. May I please ask Sharmishta to also join me on stage if she's around. I don't know if she is. Pulela Gopichand for the Lifetime Achievement Award. And after this, we've got one more special one. By the way, Gopi's watch that we've curated will be handed over to him tomorrow. But for the moment, please, Eksath, all of you guys, for this particular photograph. Ladies and gentlemen, a standing ovation for Pulela Gopichand, Cheteshwar Pujara, and of course, Navdeep Singh. Thank you very, very much. हाँ जी, आप यहाँ भी स्लेज कर रहे हो क्या? हाँ, अभी, life is so young, so he will keep getting, don't worry. So Puji referred to sledging, Chanakya sledging, Gopi on stage. भाई, तुम स्टेज में हो और कुछ बोलोगे नहीं, ये तो हो नहीं सकता, माँ कसम, बोल दो.
खाओ माँ कसम. अब खाओ तो पहले. खा लो माँ कसम. By the way, tomorrow I will tell you the update story about माँ कसम on a session. नहीं, thank you और कल मिलते हैं.
Okay, I think we've had an absolutely unbelievable start to the Trailblazers conclave. I once again, my heartfelt gratitude to Tata Steel, our presenting partners, to all our other partners, everyone who made it possible. And I want to put this on record. A lot of our athletes, we are a startup still, a lot of our athletes, the two included here on stage, I'm not paying them. I'm not paying them. I told Navdeep Singh in Paris, you are coming. The first thing he saw me today and he said to me, आपको बोला था ज़बान दे दिया आऊँगा आ गया. And Pulela Gopichand, 3 years he's come to the Trailblazers conclave. 3 years he's told me I don't want a single penny from you. Cheteshwar Pujara talked about money on stage. Rohan, his manager, and I have been talking about it. He said, Puji doesn't want money from you, ladies and gentlemen. That's our greatest earning at Rev Sports. And I'm putting it on record. My team, everybody at Rev Sports, for 5 straight months, they have worked to make this conclave a success. Dinner will be served. Everybody who has an accreditation, kindly go to the other side. For those who don't, kindly stay this side. There is food for everybody. So kindly have dinner with us. And that concludes the first day's act of the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave. Tomorrow in the morning, Paralympic Revolution with Navdeep and multiple other medalists. Venkatesh Iyer, Kolkata Knight Riders and 24 crores. And then leading into lunch, D. Gukesh, our chess world champion. This is India's best sports conclave. Shujitda, my heartfelt gratitude to you. Today when Manu's flight got delayed, I told Shujitda I need a green corridor. I need a green corridor. I need the police commissioner told that I need to get Manu here within 30 minutes. It was done in 5 minutes. Shujitda, thank you very much. Gopi, Chanakya, Srinjoy, Navdeep, and of course Cheteshwar Pujara, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to all of you for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you very much.